Hey, fuck it, I'm back. Yeah, so as some of you may or may not know, we recently had a fire at our new shop. This is the current shop that we occupy. We bought a new building. We bought like a 3,000 square foot building in downtown Hollidaysburg. Beautiful building. It was built in 1927, so about 100 years old at this point. And one of my lithium-ion batteries from one of my cordless drills or cordless tools exploded while nobody was there, and the place is pretty fucked up. Smoke damage, blah blah blah. Short story long, we're basically forgetting about that entire building for the duration. Like it fucked it up so bad that there's no electricity, there's no gas, there's no water, and I can't do anything in there because there's no heat anymore. Yeah, it wasn't actually. It was kind of annoying, Kevin. It wasn't even a delivery. So I'm getting a delivery, but the guy was just calling me to tell me that he'll be here at 5. So take that for what it's worth. He's like, hey man, I'm just going to tell you I'll be there at 5. I'm like, okay, thanks. See you at 5. See you at 5. But anyways, more on that delivery. As I was saying, we had that fire, and because of that fire, I'm instituting a whole bunch of new fire safety measures here at the shop. First and foremost, I got a bunch of like military ammunition cans. And right now, there's not a single lithium-ion battery in this shop or the assembly shop that is exposed. They're all sealed up in fucking military ammo cans. So from now on, that's how I'm rolling with all my lithium-ion batteries. Maybe I'm being a little pedantic, I don't know, but I'm not fucking around there. The second thing, as I looked around my shop and said, what else is going to burn this place to the ground? I looked at the dozens and dozens of gallon cans and spray bottles and all of this ABV service. As I looked around the shop, I realized that I had dozens of gallon cans and spray paint size cans of flammable liquids. That's no fucking good because, they're just sitting there unprotected. And that was actually part of the reason the fire went so poorly down at the other shop was I had all my tools piled up and they were all sitting in plastic cases and all kinds of shit. And there was like at least 1 or 2 cans of WD-40. And once the fire got going, hey, Odie, what's up, man? Yeah, happy holidays to you too, brother. It's nice to be back in the workshop. In all honesty, because I have to just forget about working on the other shop for the time being, I'm just super refocused on building drums, and it's kind of like freeing and refreshing. So I'm just mentally allowing myself to forget about that place because, like I was saying, there's literally nothing I can do down there until the spring when I can get in there to pressure wash. So fuck it. I'm just gonna forget about the fucking place. I'm gonna focus on what I love doing most and just build drums. But to the delivery. So I talked about the ammo cans. That's the first thing I did was I've got a bunch of ammo cans that I put every goddamn lithium-ion battery. Kevin, when you get over here, the lithium-ion batteries and all your tools in your shop over there, they're in an ammo can in the bottom drawer of the workbench over there. But the second thing, as I looked around and I saw all these flammable cans of shit strewn all through my shop, real even spread too. Every shelf had at least 1 can of flammable shit on it. I was like, well, fuck, I got to do something about that too. So I started looking at, you probably have seen these like big, like cabinets. They're usually yellow and they say flammable on them. And the whole point of those cabinets is that's where you keep your flammable shit so that if there's a fire, it's not just a bomb. And also to keep that, if they do decide to spontaneously combust or whatever the fuck, you need a central chem locker. Funny you should say that. I have 2 chem lockers on the way today. Found a guy on Facebook that was selling them. $700 a piece for 50-gallon flammable storage cabinets. They're $1,500 new. So I'm like, you got a deal, man. He's down in like he's down closer to Philly, so it's about a 2-hour drive, or I get a little over 2-hour drive. And he said he would deliver them here for $100, and I was like, fucking sold, man. Bring me both. So at 5 o'clock, I'm getting 2 55-gallon flammable storage cabinets delivered. So now all of the flammable bullshit in this place will be, well, the flammable liquids in this place will be confined Evrekan Gudunuz, or Gunduz. Hello to you as well. So let me show you how this is going. Pretty fucking well so far. The only shitty thing is there is a bit of a residue that's left over from the masking tape, which I don't know if there's something I could have done differently there. I think with just a little bit of wiping with some acetone or something, I should be able to get that to come off. But it shouldn't make too big of a deal, because there is, like I said, there's going to be more shit going on over top of this. So you can see some of the runes here. They have like infill pieces that I got to peel out very delicately. Peel those off. Clean. Looking good. I didn't have quite the right color red paint that I wanted to use for this in the shop. Find a place for those loggers. Yeah, we are out of room. 100%. We have no fucking room. But we got a storage unit now. We're going to take some shit to that storage unit to make room. Get a razor blade. I'll be right back. I don't think we're going to have chem loggers in both shops. I mean, realistically, there's very little flammable liquids over there, and what is over there can be stored over here. My plan was, because I figured when I moved to my new shop, when we moved to our new shop, I'm gonna need 2 55-gallon cabinets. So, and the price was awesome, so I figured I would just get both. Probably what I'm gonna do is I have that horizontal boring machine that I'm not using for anything at the moment. I'd planned on taking that to the storage unit, so the one in this shop, it'll take the place of that horizontal boring machine. It should fit pretty well right there. And then the other cabinet, I'm just going to take it to the storage unit wholesale and just sit it there. I probably won't need it, well, I could use it, but I don't have any fucking room for it until we move to the new shop. So, solutions, man. I'm all about solutions. And like I've been upgrading my insurance policy for this place so that, what happened at the other place where I got pretty much boned by the insurance doesn't happen if we ever have an issue here. It's funny, I was talking Edo Checo. Did I get it right? I didn't. I know. Hello to you too. It's funny, I was talking to my insurance agent after that fire at the new shop, and I'm like, I'm going gangbusters, right? I'm like, listen, I want to upgrade every policy. I want to relook at every policy that I have, business, personal, everything, and make sure that shit's all up to snuff so that if I have this happen again, I don't get totally fucked. And she's like, that's always what happens. She's like, every time somebody has a fucking issue and, they don't feel like they get treated the way they should, or they don't, the coverage isn't correct, or they make out poorly during a moment where they have to use their insurance. Everybody immediately just upgrades all their shit. And I'm in like, silver linings here. I'm glad that shop isn't completely destroyed. It's completely salvageable. It's just going to cost a lot of money and a lot of work. And I think the way to look at it is, I'm grateful that this shop's fine. I'm happy to be refocused on just building drums. Edo Checo, I'm butchering your name again, but thank you for saying you love my art, man. I really appreciate that shit. I always feel like just a crazy guy in a garage that just builds drums, but it's cool that there's people that give a fuck. Yeah, silver linings, man. Like, you had a fire, whatever. I'm now, I'm grateful to be refocused on building drums, because I'm genuinely having had a lot of fun. Like, I've been at it for like 10 hours just building drums, and I'm not thinking about like, fuck, I gotta go down to the building and paint the basement, fucking, like, none of that. I have one focus, and it's nice to have kind of narrowed my things that I have to worry about down just a little bit. But then on top of that, I feel like it kind of took a catastrophic event like that fire to help me kind of reevaluate some of the protocols and some of the things that I was doing. Like, my insurance for this place, wholly inadequate. Yeah, me too, man. I'm glad nobody was hurt. It really wasn't, like, nobody had even been in that new shop for like 48 hours. But, which is fucking crazy. Like, I'm so glad this is probably a repeat for anybody watching here that knows about the fire, but The only reason somebody found the fire was I had hired a company to make all new windows for the whole fucking shop. 14 windows worth $31,000. And it was Friday morning at 9 a.m. Those guys went down to put all the new windows. They were just going to put them inside and close the garage door for the weekend so that Monday, that following week, they could come down and start installing them. The window guy went down, put the windows in there, and found the fire. If he had not gone down there at 9 a.m., like, God knows what would have happened. That place probably would have burnt to the fucking ground. If I write something wrong, I'm Italian. Oh, that's awesome, man. You're Italian? I don't know any Italian words. Ciao? Pizza? Thank you for coming. Genuinely. My grandma is very Italian, so I guess that makes me some kind of a little bit of Italian, but like I claim no nationality, man. I'm just a mutt. But yeah, so yeah, like I'm glad that I'm getting I feel like I'm doing like the most adult shit I've done in a long time. Like getting my insurance policies in line. I'm buying flammable storage cabinets. Jesus, like never in a million years would 5 years ago Sam Turo have been like, you know what I need? Some more fire safety. Like the most fire safety I have going on right now is I have a fire extinguisher that's in the corner. That's it. Like other than that, this fucking place is a tinderbox. But I feel like now I'm any snares in stock to raise money for repairs. Odie, yeah, I do, man. I have several snare drums in stock. Maybe shoot me a DM or something on Facebook or Instagram or email, just info@HHG drums when we're done. I've got a bunch of snare drums. None of them are completely done, but I have at least 10 snare drums that have all of the holes drilled and they're completely ready to put together. Like we could have them shipped in 24 hours. I just don't like to put the hardware on them because a lot of times somebody might want like gold or black hardware, and if we already put chrome on it, it's like a pain in the ass to change. So yeah, Odie, that means a lot, man. Hit me up afterwards, and we'd be very happy to get you a snare drum. But yeah, never in a million years would I have been buying a flammable safety cabinet unless the universe had stirred me to do so by burning down my fucking new shop. Very depressing. Very fucking depressing. So these are looking beautiful. Let me just show you guys how this is coming out. They're looking fucking awesome. Now, it's a little less awesome looking just because, like I said, there's that residue on the shell. And when this is all said and done, it'll basically be like completely gloss black. But like this black, I sanded it before I put the graphics on so that the paint would stick. So it looks real dull right now. But like after I get the graphic off, I'll probably give it a light wipe down and then I'll sand it again just lightly. And then I'll hit it with some more clear coat. And then the black will become like a glossy piano black. And the red will really pop, I think, as well, too. Yeah, we're in fucking overdrive right now at the shop, man. Like, this has been the wonderful thing that I'm really grateful for is that I've been building drums now since 2013, and every year has been a better year for the business than the previous one. So this, as it would follow, is the best year that we've ever had. We sold so much shit this year to so many people. And it's like, it's very validating. Sometimes I just, like, you get like imposter syndrome. And you're like, who the fuck would buy a drum from me? There's so many beautiful drum manufacturers. But every year, thank you, man. Evercon, still probably fucking up your name, but thank you. It's an unfortunate thing, but we're pushing forward. But yeah, every year has been a better year than the previous one. And this year's been no different, man. We've sold so many drums, and we're like right now at the end of the year, we're kind of like the busiest we've been all fucking year. We're working on like, I think like no less than 5 drum sets, which is a lot because we mainly just do snare drums, not by choice, just because we like just really haven't had a lot of opportunity to build a lot of drum sets, so we're not well known for it. Something we're hoping to change. But yeah, we got like 5 drum sets going on. One of them will be the biggest drum set I've ever built so far. It's massive. I think it's a 12-piece kit. It's like 6, 8, 10 concert toms, and then 10, 12, 13, 14 rack toms, 16, 18 floor toms, 24-inch kick drum with a 24-inch subwoofer. Never built a subwoofer before. Something is good, it will grow over time. Yeah, man, that's the hope, and that's kind of always been my mantra. Is like, there's a lot of things I could do to probably push and advertise more, but in my mind, it's kind of like it's a cart before the horse situation, right? And like me and Kevin, my partner, we've discussed this before. Not my love partner, my business partner. Even though I do love you, Kevin. We've discussed this before. It's like you can't really put your foot on the gas pedal for advertising if you don't have the manufacturing capacity to back up the increased amount of orders that would result from that advertising. And I don't want to put myself in a situation where, we put money and time into advertising and then put time and money into advertising and then we just can't keep up with like we can barely keep up with the orders as is, barely. And we do no advertising other than just posting and just kind of like just being present on social media. So yeah, like that's always been my thought process. It's just like, just let it grow naturally. And then someday, like I guess my thought process really is let it grow naturally, but behind the scenes, increase the manufacturing capacity, which is what we're working on. That was the whole idea of the new shop. Is like the main pain point, like our main constraint right now is there's a bunch of machines we'd like to be able to purchase to make things go faster, to make things go better. I'd like to be able to have more inventory in stock, but I have no fucking room. Like my shop is like 900 square feet. Kevin's assembly and shipping shop is like 300. We've got like 1,200 square feet that we're running this whole operation out of. So you can't really scale your manufacturing when you just genuinely don't have room for a single piece of equipment, So that's always been the thought, is like, it's kind of playing the long game, if you will. Just we've just been kind of biding our time, doing what we do, trying to get better, building drums, trying to refine the process. And we're just not leaning into any advertising or anything because just can't. If we started, like I said, we're swamped with orders as is. We're building as many drums as we can physically build as two human beings. Then I still work a full-time job because this shit doesn't pay the bills. So basically, once the new shop is up and running, which could at this point take another 18 months, if not longer, once that place is up and running, then we can put our fucking foot to the gas pedal. We can throw gasoline on the fire and hopefully really start growing a lot. Switch to IG. Kevin, let me know if this is even on Instagram, because on Restream, it's not an option. Like I can stream to Twitch and Facebook and YouTube, but it doesn't give Instagram as an option. Now I have Instagram and Facebook tethered together, so I don't know if it's going to stream it to Facebook and then also stream it to Instagram Live. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. But let me know if it's on there. I'm curious about that. It seemed very silly to me that you would create a platform for streaming live on social and then not include Instagram, because that's like, it's kind of the main thing now. Okay. Well, progress is being made. We've got little Xy thing, little fishy, little diamond, half an arrow, fancy M, regular M, backwards B. Those are the official names for the Futhric runes. I looked them up. They called them in old Germanic Futhric language. Oh, fuck. I forget what hardware goes on this snare drum, but I genuinely hope it's black. Fucking, because, oh my god. The piano black with the red runes poking through, and then black hardware. Woo! Get the fuck out of here. That would be beautiful. Oh yeah, Odie, you mentioned about maybe wanting to get a snare drum. I forgot to mention. So we have, like I said, I think we have about 10 wooden snare drums available. But if you like, okay, cool, Kevin. I see you're on, yeah, you're on Facebook. Check Instagram. Is this live on Instagram as well? Yeah, I agree, Edo Checo. Black hardware is the way. But Odie, like I was gonna say, I don't even know if you're still here or not, but what I was gonna say was we also have a shitload of metal snare drums available right now because the way the shop works around here is things kind of go in batches, right? So we make segmented plywood, metal, stave. We make all these type of drum shells from scratch. And the shop's so small that I can't really configure the shop to be permanently set up in any way, shape, or form to do any one of those type of drum shells all the time. So oh, it is. Okay, cool, awesome. That's great. That's good to know. But I can't really set up the shop permanently to be able to stream, or I'm sorry, to be able to produce any of those singular type of drum shells because there's just not enough room to set up all of the different equipment and like stations and tables and shit that you need to do all of those things. So Odie, what that means is as of late, I've been on I've had the shop kind of configured to be working on metal drums because we had a lot of orders for metal drums. We're doing a lot of cool shit, but out of that, I have managed to squeeze in a significant number of additional unclaimed snare drums in the process. That's usually how I try to work. So I'll switch to like, when it's time to make plywood snare drums, or I think next we're doing stave snare drums. We're going to do stave drums after this, and then we're going to switch to plywood for a while. But whenever I switch gears to a different type of production, I try to spend, I try to spend some time and capture some economies of scale once I switch gears. Like if when I switch to stave drums, I'm going to try and make, it'll be a 50-50 mix of drums that people have already ordered that we need to build for them. And 50% of that will just be extra inventory or just speculative building. Like I'll probably build, a couple of shells just to have in stock based on what we sell a lot, like cedar and ash and maple and shit. I'll just build a couple of those so that we have them so that if somebody orders one of those when we're in a different manufacturing mode, I'll just have one I can pull off the shelf. But then also I usually, in any given batch of, whether it be metal, segmented, whatever, I'll usually just build a few curiosities, if you will, just a few drums that like something that I've been kicking around in my brain, something I'd wanted to try to build. And that's what I did recently with metal drums. And I had built some brass snare drums before. And when I say built, I really mean that. Like, I buy raw, flat chunks of brass. I cut them, drill all the holes, I roll them into a cylinder, I weld them, I polish them, do the whole goddamn thing. And so I had some aluminum and some brass. And so right now I have, and some steel too, some really thick, like 5mm or 4mm carbon steel. So right now I have a bunch of brass snare drums, a bunch of steel snare drums, and a bunch of aluminum snare drums. Oh, and some copper too, I forgot. And some bronze. I made some fucking bronze shells too. So I got bronze, copper, brass, aluminum, steel. I have, I don't know, around 10 total shells mixed amongst those different metal varieties. Species? So yeah, Odie, you're probably not even here to hear any of this, but we've got a shitload of drums in stock. We have all of those metal snare drums. Some of them are really awesome too. Like I built some of the brass ones, I think, are some of the ones that I'm most excited about. The brass and the copper are probably the two I'm most excited about. Copper, because I have not built those before. This was my first time making copper shells. They came out really nice. But yeah, the brass is really fun because it always looks so good. I always do like I like to just do a really simple finish where I polish the shell to a certain like high luster right before it starts to polish, basically. So the brass continues to have scratch marks in it. So it's like a matte finish, if you will, but it's like in a rotational. Metal snares and stave shells sound great. Brass, copper, and bronze are my favorite. Well, yeah, hit me up. If any one of those interests you, let me know. On top of the brass, copper, bronze, aluminum, and steel, I also have a bunch of stave shells. I think I have some ambrosia maple, some canary wood, some ash, some cedar, walnut, reclaimed wormy chestnut. It's like a 200-year-old piece of wood that came out of an old barn in Philadelphia. Got at least one of those available. We got a bunch sitting around. But yeah, the brass ones are cool because I've been wanting to try some strange sizes. Like you always see Sonar does like, 22-inch diameter by 14 and 3/8 or some shit. And they're not doing that on purpose. It's actually just kind of a vestige of the fact that they're in Germany and they're running on metric. So like they're making it to a certain like round millimeter size or centimeter size. You know what I mean? It's probably like 20 centimeters or some shit. But that equates to a strange size in American freedom units. But I did that with some of the brass shells. I think I did like a 5 1/4 and like a 6 3/4 or something. Got some fun sizes cooked up. Maybe rather than just blathering on and on about all of the cool metal drums I have, perhaps I'll go grab one and show you guys. I don't want to walk too far. A lot of them are over in Kevin's shop, over at the assembly and shipping area. But just off screen here, I've got a really cool copper shell. I'll go grab that fucker. Want to do a check-in on the runes with me? Looking pretty dope. We're right at about the halfway point here. I might actually have to jump off here pretty soon. My wife usually gets home from work about 2 minutes ago, so my time is limited. Let me go grab a copper shell for you guys to check out. Copper. Just finished this one up recently. It's a 2mm copper with a rolled edge, 14 by 5.5. I made 3 of these. Here, let me hold you guys right in the action here. Ready? Oh shit! Fuck. Here we go. Sounds really fantastic. I'm a big fan. Copper is a great material for snare drums. It's a fun mixture because what is copper? No, copper is elemental. I was gonna say, yeah, brass elemental. I think brass is also a mixture of different shit. I'm not sure. Anyways, I know bronze is a mixture of tin and copper. I'm not sure about brass. But yeah, copper fucking rocks, man. We got 3 of those available. Oddly, I can't. I'm torn though on hardware choice. Well, Odie, that one's available. Like I said, I got 3. Just shoot me a DM or something, dude. I'd be happy to build one out for you. Those are $980. Your color, your choice of black nickel, chrome, antique bronze, or gold hardware. All of those would be fantastic. I think I don't know what you guys would go with on that, but for copper, because it's already so beautiful, I would probably go chrome, just because I think that shiny chrome up against the brass is now like fucking knew it. Bonus points to you, Kevin, if you can quickly tell me what shit is in brass. Is it copper and tin? Copper and zinc? Or is it 3 things? Because I know when they talk about like symbol bronze, like B20, I think the 20 number correlates to the amount of tin. Like it's 80% copper, 20% tin. But yeah, as far as hardware choice on that copper, it's okay. First half done. Brass is copper. Checo knew. Hey, Kevin, he beat you to it, man. There we go. There's half. Like I said, the background kind of looks shitty right now because it's just sanded. But once I get another round of clear coat on there, it should look really nice. Yeah, that looks fucking nice. Okay. Upwards and onwards we go. So we're on to the second half here. So all my fears have been allayed at this point. Doesn't look like it's ripping the paint off. The red paint's sticking down well. I think I'm going to come out with a pretty successful looking graphic here today, which is a good feeling because I've spent way more time doing this than I would like to mention. But Kevin might know this, but one of my fucking mantras in the world of drum building is I'll build anything. Like it's fun because it's fun because you get to learn something every time somebody comes to you with like a wild project and they're like, hey, you want to do this fucking ancient Germanic language on my snare drum? And I don't care what weird project somebody brings my way, I'll say yes to it, even if I'm not 100% sure that I can do it, because I might have to try and fail 3 or 4 times before I get an attempt that comes out successfully. But I've only ever had one project that somebody came to me with and it kicked my ass so bad that I had to just abandon it. That was a concrete snare drum. I know that's been done before. I know DW did it a couple of times. And I think it was it was last summer I tried. A long time customer, good friend at this point, Gabe, came to me and asked me to build him a concrete snare drum. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm in. And it kicked my ass. I tried real hard. I spent a bunch of time making molds and all this fucked up shit. But in the end, the logic, the way I was thinking about doing it was just completely fucking wrong. I tried to make just an outside mold and then use centrifugal force to spin the mold while I applied the concrete. It was a fucking disaster. I've thought about it since then a little bit more, and I think when I get time, I'm definitely going to revisit it because I have a really good plan now about how I want to approach that. I just basically the mold just needed to change. I just needed to make a different type of mold. But I don't know if any of you guys watch, I don't even know what his first name is, Bales or whatever, Bales, on like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I found him years ago when I was just getting into building drums, and he had some cool videos about building custom drums. And I know that's something I've seen him on Instagram and Facebook talking about his recent failures and trials with making some concrete drums. And it kicked his ass. He got further than I did, but it kicked his ass similarly to how it kicked mine. He had more success in that he was at least smart enough to do like the mold the correct way out of the gate, whereas I didn't even get past that phase. So he got, ostensibly what was a usable shell out of the mold phase, but then everything just fell to shit after that for him. And I think where he, where the total failure happened for him was when he tried to actually drill holes for the hardware. It just shattered, just fucking cracked. Because I mean, you got to use a diamond-tipped drill bit, and it has to be like an impact hammer. You can't just use a drill press. So it just shattered. I've got some thoughts about how to get around that. I'm gonna keep them under my hat right now. Poke myself with a razor blade. Come on. They make cut gloves, Sam. Why don't you have a Kevlar cut glove? Because I'm a fucking rebel. That's why. Oh, shit. So one of the other positive things to come out of the whole shop fire was, now the unfortunate thing, carbon fiber. Fuck yeah, dude. It's funny you mentioned that. I was just listening to a podcast a couple weeks ago with a Canadian guy. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he used to make fiberglass drums. He had a whole company, he built snare drums, drum sets. He was pretty popular. I forget, it sucks I forget his name, but I forget the name of the company too. But they were pretty popular in like the late 90s, like early 90s, late 90s. He is actually hung up he gave up. He got out of the industry because it's, building drums is not exactly the most lucrative and intelligent business to be in if you actually want to make a good living. But he got out of it because he was like me. He had no, it wasn't Zikos or Fives. It was neither of them. I'll think of it when I get off camera. But what I was saying was, after listening to the podcast with this dude, I just like found him on Facebook and sent him a message, and he didn't get back to me for a couple of weeks, but he just messaged me back recently. Because as soon as I got done listening to the episode, I was like, I have to do this. Like, who doesn't want to get some fucking fiberglass? Not monolith either. Who doesn't want to get some fiberglass and some carbon fiber to build a fucking snare drum? I do. I think that would be super fun. So I messaged him and I was like, hey man, if you're free sometime, I just would love to just get on a phone call with you and just chat. My intention being like, I want to talk to him about his process and maybe even see if I could buy his old molds off of him. That would be fucking awesome. I don't have any room for any of that shit here, but down at the new shop we might. But yeah, definitely something I want to try. Because I'm always interested in like some of the more esoteric methods of building drums, because first and foremost, there's just less competition in those arenas. Like everybody and their brother's building stave snare drums, but like I got into metal drums because I love the way metal drums sound, and there's not a lot of guys building them from scratch. You know what I mean? It's like Ron Dunnett and like maybe VK over in like Alan over in England, but other than that, not a lot. Not rocket shells. No, I'll think of it in a little bit. Keep them coming though. I'll give you a couple of clues. Canadian company, no longer in business, and they made primarily fiberglass drum shells. See if you can get it. I believe in you. But yeah, so there's not a lot of dudes making metal drums. So I was like, let me jump into that, and I'm glad I started doing that because I've sold a lot of metal drums this year, and it's also rewarding and fun. Like I enjoy the shit out of learning a new process, learning how to weld, learning how to form metal, because I was very much a complete novice when I started. Drum bodies that are fail. No, I have. Oh, Mike, what's up, man? Mike Butler. For everybody on the stream, anybody watching, me and Mike Butler go way back. I still remember, Mike, you and me grouting all of the sandstone seams between like an ancient fucking house somewhere in Clarion, Pennsylvania when I was like 14. So hello and what's up, man? It's good to hear from you. But no, when you say bellied out, you mean like a snare drum that like kind of does this maneuver? I've never done that. I do a lot of drums where it kind of does the opposite. I call them like contoured drums. So like you can picture the cylinder like just with flat sides. I do a lot of them where they curve in, because that's good to hear from you, man. Seriously, thanks for stopping in. When you go in like that, you can make the hardware still interface with everything. You have to do some, custom washers and some like spacer blocks and shit, but you can make that work. When you go out, it becomes really hard because when the cylinder bulges out, the alignment of the bolts that tension the drum head down, called tension rods, it splays them out, which is really not much you can do about. I've also been propositioned multiple times about making congos and bongos, and I've never had anybody follow through on one of those yet. Just because mainly it's like, who's that one? They're Canadian again. Fuck. There's a really awesome Canadian company that makes bongos, and I don't think they're in business anymore. I forget their name. They make congos. I don't think they make bongos. I think they're in Quebec. They're in some part of French Canada. I'd be more interested in making congos than I would bongos or congas. Congos, is there a difference? I don't know. because they're bigger and they're more fun. It's like a bit of a challenge. But like bongos, I mean, goddamn, you can get on Amazon and buy a set of bongos for $15. And like for me to make a set of bongos for somebody, minimum $700, like minimum. So it's just financially, I don't think it's going to make a lot of sense for most people to come to me to have them build a set of bongos. Just because, you know, the time and effort it's going to take to make a pair of those and make them to my standards, by the time I get done with it, I'd have so many hours in it that it would just be prohibitively expensive. But I do hope to make some, because I really, I mean, yeah, well, there you go. I mean, Terry said from Facebook, he commented that he has a pair of $300 bongos. I also have a pair of $300 bongos from LP, and they're fucking fantastic. But like my bongos would probably have to be $700 just for it to make any financial sense for me to even attempt building them. Terry, on a side note, I am fucking excited about those mini timbales I'm going to be building. I know you wanted to do an 8 and a 10, but I was going to see if maybe we could add a little bit to the price and do a 6, 8, and a 10. Because who doesn't love 3 drums? Like 3's better than 2. I think that would be fun. But yeah, Terry, for anybody experimenting with the difference between the hollow forms or things like rigidity of materials, what creates the best resonant body? That's a fun and very difficult question to answer. It's like people will argue over that constantly. Now I might be a little bit jaded because I've been building drums so long, and it's a very multifaceted debate when it comes to like what makes the best drum shell, because there really isn't any one answer, because it's subjective first and foremost. Like first and foremost, what sounds good to your ear may sound entirely like shit to me. You know what I mean? So there's that degree first off, where there can't be like a sound. There can't be like a, well, you know, 440 hertz is like the good sound for a snare drum. You can't say that. There's no objective good sound. But you asked what makes a good resonating body, and even that is kind of a hard question to answer, because though what a drum is made out of certainly affects what it sounds like, I think if you had like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs about like what made a snare drum sound the way it sounds, I think at the top of that list would be tuning. How did you tune the membrane? Is it tight? Is it loose? Are the snare wires tight or loose? Are they good? You know what I mean? Are they applied correctly? That's going to be your, like, the thing that's going to make 80% of the way of the drum sounds is how you tuned it. Second, below that would be what type of heads are on it. Are they good heads? Are they old? That's going to make a lot of difference too. And then I don't even know if you can put this in this category, but like, how do you play the drum? Like, are you playing out of the drum head, or are you playing into it? Are you deadening it with your stick? Or are you letting the drum sing once, you know, like there's a lot that goes into just like operator error to make a drum sound good. Yeah, Terry, I agree. Drums do sound good because we make them. But so once you get past kind of my preface of saying that I think that tuning makes the most difference, and then secondarily your drum heads make the second most difference, I think even more important than what the drum is made out of would probably be hardware, like die-cast tubes, triple flange tubes, big huge lugs that contact the shell in a lot of places, or little tiny lugs with a small footprint. That makes a lot of difference. Then I think once you get past all of those, then I think you can start substantively discussing the effect that the material that the shell is made out of, what effect that material has on the sound of the shell. And my general criteria, and it's an interesting thing, if you look at other acoustic instruments, it's very different in a drum than it is in, let's say, like an acoustic guitar. In an acoustic guitar, the whole idea is rigid and thin and light, you know? What about, yeah, I group snare wires right in there with the drum heads, like right in there. They're hugely important. Not only what type of snare wires, like how many snare strands are they, what are the wires made out of, and then more importantly than all of that, are they positioned correctly, are the snare beds cut correctly, and are they tensioned correctly? Because all of those things, if any one of those is out of whack, it's going to sound awful. You know what I mean? You could have brand new pure sound snare wires and have shitty snare beds, and they'll just sound fucking terrible. But I think once you get past drum, tuning first, drum head second, snare wires, and then, arguably the way the actual drummer is playing it. I noticed in watching him get back, he was Ringo and often place a cotton towel over his drum head. What was the purpose? Oh, so that's a very common thing, Mike. It's just muffling. And I'll do a really bad onomatopoeia of this. You play a snare drum and a resounding high frequency that continues. And then you put a towel, or a lot of guys use a wallet, and you get it just shortens, it makes it more staccato. And oftentimes that's really desirable, especially if you're recording, just to, kind of stay, like, keep that long, lingering high frequency from bleeding over into the mix in too noticeable of a way. We actually, what we do here is we put, it's an old device that we've kind of just resurrected. It's called an internal tone control, internal muffler, or something like that. We put them in not all, but most of our drums, unless somebody requests otherwise. Well, to be fair, we're on a little bit of a moratorium on the internal tone controls, just because our supply chain's catching up with us currently. But we put an internal muffler in the drum, so there's a knob on the outside of the drum you could turn, and then there's a mechanism on the inside that takes a small felt pad and touches the inside of the batter head, the top head of the drum, to emulate what Ringo and a lot of others drummers do when they put some kind of external device on top of the head to shorten the sustain of the drum. But to your original question, Mike, what makes the best resonating material? You guys probably wish I would shut the fuck up about this, but I have some thoughts on it. I have some thoughts on it. And my thoughts are probably going to be a little disappointing because I don't think there's an answer. I don't think there's like this material is the best. I think every material can resonate, and it can create a pleasing sound. But I think every material is going to sound a little bit different. And I think every material can be altered in the way that it's used in the instrument to sound even more different. And what I mean by that is, like, let's take wood, for instance. Let's say you're a dude that really likes your metal snare drums, right? I think I could build you a wood snare drum that would compete, if you did a blind sound test, close your eyes, put an aluminum drum right beside a wood drum, blindfolded yourself, played them both. I'm very sure that I can make a wood drum that would fool you, because what it really boils down to is how much material is in that shell and how is it vibrating. And you can kind of emulate the way a metal drum is going to resonate by varying the thickness of a wood drum. Oh yeah, Terry, feel free. Now, the only thing is, Terry, if you're talking about bringing your piccolo snare drum back to add one of those mufflers, I don't think I can do it. We didn't add one for a reason. That drum is so shallow that you need at least like 3.5, 4 inches of internal space to make the muffler work correctly. And I think your drum is so shallow that the knob would actually be positioned so far away from the batter head that it would actually run into the reso head, because that drum is so shallow. But we can, if you have any other drums or any other snare drums that you oftentimes find yourself using like a tone control ring or one of those, any type of external muffling on, feel free, bring it by. I'd be happy to add a tone control to it for you. But yeah, Mike, to finish off my long esoteric rant about resonating bodies, I think in drums, you're not getting a lot of the sound of the drum from the shell at all. And what I mean by that is, when you strike a drum, the overwhelming sound that you're hearing is produced from the the actual membrane vibrating and producing a sound wave. Very little of the sound that you hear with your ear is from the actual shell itself ringing as a result of that impact. So I don't think it makes a whole shitload of difference, to be honest. Now that being said, I know, when I play a metal snare drum, it feels different, it plays different. I think that oftentimes is wrongly or rightly confused with the sound. I think the way a drum plays and the way a drum feels is not the same thing as the way it sounds, especially if you're talking about vantage points. I'm really getting in the fucking deep end. I apologize. I drank too much coffee today. But my point is, I think that the way his drum sounds and the way it feels get conflated wrongly oftentimes. And also, there's a huge difference in the way a drum sounds when you have it between your legs and you're playing it, and when you're standing 30 feet away in the front of the crowd. Because this difference in sound from those two vantage points, massive. And also, the difference in the way a drum plays, the way it responds, it's pretty fucking big. You know what I mean? There's a big difference. Like, I can really feel the difference between a thin metal shell and a thick wood shell. Paul Mason, Tempest. Yeah, that's it. Paul Mason. Yeah. Yeah, that was him. Yeah, I just connected with Paul on Facebook, and I'm going to probably get on a call with him sometime in the near future here. Excuse me, I'm going to put some tobacco in my fucking head. Yeah, I'm very interested to talk to Paul Mason. I'm very interested in fiberglass drums just in general. I think it's fucking awesome. Like what a cool idea. Like, from listening, it was that Drum History podcast with Bart Vanderzee, which if none of you are listening to that podcast, you should be. It's fantastic. Just the whole idea of it to me is fucking awesome. Like, I'm a huge fan of making things that are going to outlive me. I oftentimes have this weird fantasy of, like, when I've been dead for 100 fucking years and there's like an antiques roadshow somewhere and they bring it in, they're like, oh, this is an original HHG drum, and like I sign the inside and shit. Like, I like thinking about that moment. And what Paul was talking about in that podcast was like, he's like, I've built myself several kits. I've built hundreds of kits for big players all over the world. And he's like, I'm very confident that those drums will outlast any wooden drum shell on the market ever. And he's right too, because fiberglass it's pretty near impervious to the weather. I mean, it can get UV damaged over time, but you can literally take a carbon fiber or a fiberglass snare drum or drum set and throw it in a fucking pool, and you might have some damage to the metal components, but the shells will be completely unaffected. Now, if you did that with a wood drum, you might as well throw out the fucking garbage when you're done. It's going to absorb so much moisture. And if it's a plywood shell, things are going to delaminate. No bueno. Yeah, I'm very interested in, sometime in the next couple of years, maybe investigating that process, because it seems like one of those things where it would be a long battle to start making, a passable product. Built like a brick shit house. Yeah, Terry. For anybody on the chat, Terry Wilt, good local friend of mine, drummer, and he just got a really awesome piccolo from us. And it's fucking, I think it's like 1.5 inch thick, solid American white ash. It's ridiculous. Like he said, it's built like a brick shit house. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome color shade of green as well. But as far as the whole fiberglass drums, like I said, I think it would be one of those things where you would spend thousands of dollars to just throw a bunch of shit away. Like, your first dozen drum shells are going to be probably garbage. You know what I mean? Because that's the cost of learning how to do anything new. It's just, it's the entry fee, man. You're going to fuck a bunch of shit up, but you have to stay committed. But I think it's one of those things where after you pay your entry fee and you throw a bunch of fiberglass and resin and shit into the garbage because you just couldn't get a usable drum shell. Once you got good enough at it, once you figured out all the tips and the tricks of how to make it happen successfully and repeatably, I think it could be a really fruitful operation. I think it could be something that you could really, because it's kind of fast if you think about it. It's not quite as fast as making a plywood drum shell, but like you can make a drum shell from components in arguably 2 days, maybe 1 day if you're using the right type of like quick set resins, you know, or even doing like a UV cure type of resin. So yeah, add that to my list of shit that I don't have time to fuck with. Oh God. Ah, shit. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've been on here for how long? 55 minutes. Wow. I'm glad that I jumped onto this live stream because I genuinely was like, it's only gonna take me like 10 minutes to peel this graphic off. What the fuck? Maybe it's because I've been constantly talking the entire time and barely paying attention to what I'm doing, but it has managed to take nearly an hour just to peel this graphic off. But my beautiful wife and daughter have arrived home a couple of minutes ago. So, unless anybody has any pressing business or questions, I might have to bring this meeting to a close here shortly and go in and spend some time with the family. So, I appreciate you guys swinging by. Thanks for stopping in and saying hello. If you like this, if you thought this was cool, shoot me a message. Let me know. If you thought this was lame, if you think there's anything I should change. I mean, I know I need to upgrade the upload speed. So that's, I know that. But if there's anything else, like what would you like to see out of these live streams? Like what, you know, I'm probably not gonna give away a lot of trade secrets, so I'm gonna probably keep these live streams confined to like boring, repetitive shit like this that anybody could pretty much guess that we do. But if there's anything you guys would like to, you know, see in the process, like I know me and Kevin have talked a lot about like Kevin just doing live streams while he puts drums together, because that's certainly one of those activities that you're kind of just sitting down. Like that's the hard thing about live streams. It's like, what the fuck? It's hard to pick an activity in the world of manufacturing musical instruments that's not, you know, loud as shit, or you're not wearing a respirator, or you're not walking around. Something where you're like sitting and it's quiet and you can actually like see the chat and interact. But I know me and Kevin had talked about doing something like that, like where he would just jump on a live stream while he's putting snare drums together, or maybe shipping snare drums or something. But if any of you guys can think of anything that you think would make for an interesting live stream, for the love of God, send me a message. Let me know what you think that would be. I'm kind of stalling for time now because I'm down to my very last rune. And I think that a good closing note for this stream would be the drum with all of the bullshit peeled off of it. Am I right? I think I'm right. So let's get this. Come on, last little push. Almost done. One last little thing to peel here. And then we are done with the peeling. Oh baby, here we go. All right, so there's a couple little things that need still peeled, but fuck it, this is done enough for now. Give you the final look. Oh wait, it's upside down. How do you know? Well, I actually speak ancient Futhark. See this thing right here? That's called half of an upside down arrow. This is called, I forgot how to draw an N. This is flagpole. This is, which way do you write an R again? This is C, but backwards. You would think this would be an X, but it's actually a Z in Futhark. Came out pretty fucking cool. I left a little bit of extra space right here between I think this is the beginning, and then they go the other way. This will be where the badge goes. So anyways, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. Appreciate you guys swinging by. I'll catch you guys later.